Welcome to this Flame Guitars video, and you join me today in my South London workshop. A few years ago I made a video about the repair of two Les Pauls that had snapped off headstocks. And in that video I made a comment about, well, I wouldn't want you to think that my workshop is full of Les Pauls with broken necks. Well, that video has done extremely well in terms of the number of views. And so as a result of that, I do get asked to repair a lot of mostly Gibsons with cracked necks and snapped off headstocks. I think at the moment I'm working on 5. So let's have a look at these guitars and see what we can learn, what we can discuss about cracked necks and snapped off headstocks. So first up is this Gibson Howard Roberts. This came in with a pretty typical crack that ran sort of across there, right round. The crack had been repaired but not done particularly well. The two parts hadn't quite come together, so there was a bit of a lip, particularly in this area here. So what I had to do was insert a couple of strengthening splines across the crack line and then sand it all back so it felt natural and smooth under the hand, and then spray fresh finish over this area here, which has all been cut back but not been given its final polishing. This guitar is under tension. The strings have been on for about 10 days, so I'm happy that the crack line is not going to open up, or the lacquer sink into these tiny crevices around the crack line and the outline of the splines. So it just needs to be given this final polishing, and then this one is done. This is a Gibson 335 1961 reissue. It fell off its stand and the headstock snapped off completely. And when the owner first contacted me, he said, "I can send some photos. Though to be honest this morning, I don't want to open the case and look at it again. Bit too sad." And I can entirely understand why owners of the guitars are just sort of traumatized with this whole experience of just seeing the headstock snap off completely on what is an expensive guitar. So on this one, I've glued it back together and then inserted these two splines you can see here, and then colour matched the splines to the surrounding finish, and that's actually pretty good. On the headstock, the crack line ran across there. So what I had to do to repair that was, once it's glued back together, infill around this crack line, then spray black around this area, black lacquer around this area, and then clear over the whole of the headstock. And apart from a little bit of sinking of the fresh finish just there, that looks very good. So here we have a Les Paul with what I'm afraid is a fairly sort of typical snapped off headstock. You can see the fibre overlay there, which is part of the headstock facing. You can see the truss rod nut just there. Not the cleanest of breaks, but I think this will come together just fine. One of the things I did discuss with the owner when they brought this guitar in was this Les Paul hologram just here, because I'm going to have to insert some splines here, which ideally I would like to bring, well, maybe just to the point where the hologram is. Really it should be going a slightly further than that, but I don't want to route in unnecessarily into this hologram, keep that if at all possible. So it's just a consideration for me when I come to route in and insert the splines. The other thing I want to just point out is the thickness of the wood below the truss rod cavity. So this dark patch is the truss rod cavity. And if we measure the thickness of the wood at that point, we can see that there's just slightly over 4 millimeters thickness of wood below the truss rod cavity, between that point there and the underside here. So not a lot of thickness of wood there, and I think that's one of the reasons, not the only reason, it's definitely one of the reasons in my mind why these guitars are more prone to having a damaged, cracked and snap-necked than other brands of guitars. So this is a Custom Shop 335, and as you can see it's a crack rather than a completely detached headstock. Sometimes just with hand finger pressure these cracks come together very nicely. This one not so. So I just need to have a look at that, why that is, whether there's a little bit of detached wood that's preventing that coming together. Just have a closer look at that. And then discuss with the owner whether a simple glue and clamp, then touch up the finished repair is sufficient for this one, or whether to go for the insertion of two strengthening splines on either side of the truss rod. So I just need to have a further look at that and then make a recommendation to the owner. Where I've done just a glue and clamp job, I have had just occasionally that crack line opening up again, or a slightly different crack around this area. Whereas for the splines repair, I've yet to have anyone come back and say there's been a problem with that. So on the whole, customers would rather go for the reassurance that a complete repair has been made. If we look at the headstock, sometimes when these crack in the way this one has, we get quite a significant crease line across there, which on that side I can't see that at all. Very slightly on this side here I can see a slight crease, which actually may disappear once these two parts are glued back together. I think it probably will. So I don't think I'm going to need to do any work on the headstock at all. This is a completed Gibson Custom Shop 335. That colour match is pretty good actually. This is an example of where you never know whether you've quite got the right colour until you start to apply the clear top coats. Once I applied the clear top coat on this guitar, it became apparent that the splines, the inserts were just a little too light, so I just had to go back with my airbrush and just add a bit more colour to the splines. So the last guitar to look at is not a Gibson. This is a rather lovely Nags guitar, and the way this is cracked, from my perspective, and certainly from the owner's perspective, it is not good. Very often this is a fairly sort of smooth surface across here when they crack. This is sort of multi-layered. That's the best I can describe it. It's like sort of fitting together a sort of 3D puzzle, and I've had to sort of remove some pieces of wood so this sort of comes together as best as it can before it's glued. You can see that there's a couple of pieces missing just there and there, which may be hidden once I insert the splines. There's another chunk missing just around there which you can't see in the camera angle. And then if we look at the headstock, you can see that the crack running across here. So what I'm going to have to do on that is, once it's glued together, is infill in this crack line before applying any finish. On this one, this is slightly more complicated, well, definitely more complicated, because instead of the Gibson black overlay, which is sort of totally sort of jet black, this has got an ebony overlay. So below the finish, I can see the grain of the ebony coming through. So if I just simply spray black in that area, it's going to be distinctly different from the rest of the headstock. So I just need to have a think about how I do that, best disguise this crack without making the headstock look sort of somewhat ugly. From time to time, people ask me about the jig that I use for routing in the two splines that sit in the neck itself, asking for plans or details of it. Well, I haven't got plans. It's evolved over the years, but here it is, and I'll talk through this current version that I'm now using. One of the things I've played with is the angle that the router is sitting on as it's moving up and down the neck. So this has got, I think, a 6-degree angle, which seems to work well for me now. The essential element of this is it allows me to hold the neck firmly in place whilst I'm routing it into the neck. The router bit, given half a chance, will wander and sort of find its way up and down the neck. So what I have is this piece of wood here has a sort of felt pad underneath it, which allows me to provide downward pressure onto neck there. And also a couple of pads which come in from the side, providing sideward pressure, which means that the neck is just held firmly in place whilst I'm routing. I also have a couple of stops, which means that once the router is in place, I can move up and down the neck whilst I'm routing, and I don't have to sort of look at where I'm going, and providing control of the length of the spline that I'm wanting to create. As part of the setup, I find the center line of the neck, checking that the truss rod is actually in the center of the neck, because on some Gibsons, for whatever reason, I find that the truss rod is not actually in the center of the neck, and the last thing I want to do is route into the truss rod itself. So find the center line, and then I'm setting markers 5mm either side of that center line, and that gives me sufficient clearance when routing either side of the truss rod itself. And of course I take off the truss rod nut and the metal piece that sits behind the nut before I start the routing process. And that's essentially it. In quite a sort of simple device, but it allows me good control over this routing process, which when you start routing into neck, it is a bit intimidating, but I'm satisfied that actually, if I set up properly, I'm not going to make any mistakes when routing into the neck. The repair of this Nags guitar is complete, and I mentioned earlier about the headstock overlay being ebony with some of the grain showing through, and what I would do about the crack line, whether to spray black around the crack line, whether that would look odd having a black area with a sort of different look where the grain is showing through. So in the end I decided to take off the finish completely from the headstock, sand it all back, which really gave me an opportunity to work the crack line area, and then spray clear over the entire headstock. And actually that's gone very well. Just a slight hint there and there of the crack line, but the crack line across there is pretty much invisible. So yeah, I'm happy that's gone well. And if we look at the back of the neck, you can see the two splines that have been inserted across the crack area, and I've had to do quite a lot of infilling of little bits of wood that were missing and chipped out, and then some colouring to try and match to the existing finish. This is an expensive guitar, and so it's nice to have it restored and playable again.